Hi everyone and welcome back to My Perfume Chronicles. It's so great to have you here with me today for this new video. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything new. Okay, back to today's episode. When people ask me why I love French perfume so much, I always find it just a little bit difficult to answer. Not because I'm at a loss for words, but because it's just impossible to condense everything into a single phrase. For me, it's been a lifelong romance with centuries of tradition and heritage, effortless allure and beauty, timeless chic, and the fact that French perfume doesn't really try too hard to be trendy. And what surprises me the most now is how my own life's history has woven itself into this world. So many chapters of my life are permanently anchored to a specific bottle, with the memories growing richer and more meaningful with time. In fact, this video feels especially meaningful to me because my channel, My Perfume Chronicles, is about to celebrate its 1-year anniversary. Lately, I've been thinking about where my love for French perfume began, because every story has a starting point, right? And mine happened to be when I was 16 years old. For my sweet 16th birthday, my best friend gifted me a bottle of Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum. I can vividly remember unwrapping the package and then feeling a ton of excitement, not only because it was Chanel No. 5, but because it connected me to a world that had already started to fascinate me. I knew about the woman Coco Chanel, who changed fashion history. I knew why this perfume was legendary and how it changed perfume history. I knew why this bottle occupied such an important place in French culture. It really represented something far greater than a beautiful perfume. In that moment, it became personal to me. It wasn't just a gift. It was no longer an icon in a magazine or a chapter in perfume history. But knowing history and holding it in my hands, well, those are two very different things. As the years passed, my interest in fragrance deepened. What began as curiosity slowly became a passion. I traveled the world and was lucky to encounter many beautiful and creative perfumes, yet somehow I always found myself returning to France. There was something about French perfume that spoke to me differently. Maybe it was the artistry or the attention to detail, or perhaps it was the way French perfumers seem to understand that fragrance is capable of telling a story without saying a single word. Have you ever heard this famous quote from Coco Chanel? "A woman who doesn't wear perfume has no future." The first time I heard that, I thought, well, that's a pretty bold statement from a woman who was way ahead of her time, that's for sure. And whether you agree with that statement or not, she was definitely onto something. If you've been following my videos, you've heard me say many times that perfume is never just perfume. It can remind us of a person we've loved, a city that we've visited, or a version of ourselves that we almost forgot. And nowhere have I seen that idea expressed more beautifully than in French perfumery. What fascinates me nowadays is how much my relationship with perfume has changed over time. At 16, I wore it to smell pretty. Today, it's an extension of my mindset. I use fragrance to either complement or manifest a feeling. Maybe I'll select a perfume based on the outfit I'm wearing or a specific situation, like a casual brunch or a romantic dinner with my husband or just running errands. There are times I'm dressing for confidence and other times for attraction. Sometimes I'll also use an uplifting citrus perfume to elevate my mood. So as you can see today, it's about manifesting a vibe. The older I get, the more I appreciate the restraint found in many French fragrances. They don't always shout for attention. They're unique, they're interesting. They unfold gradually and they reveal themselves in layers. They leave room for imagination. One of the greatest noses of all time, Jean-Claude Ellena, has often spoken about perfume as a form of poetry. I've always loved that idea because poetry doesn't explain everything. It suggests, it evokes. It allows us to discover meaning for ourselves. And I think that the finest French perfumes do exactly that. If you've smelled any of his iconic perfumes, you'll understand, especially First from Van Cleef Arpels. It was his very first creation, the first ever perfume from a high jewelry house, and famously, one of Princess Diana's all-time favorite fragrances. He also created so many others for the House of Hermes. Today, when I walk through a perfume boutique or spray a favorite fragrance on my wrist, I still feel the same sense of wonder that I felt when I was 16 years old, opening that first bottle of Chanel No. 5. Only now, that feeling is enriched by years of learning and collecting and exploring and coming to understand the extraordinary artistry behind these creations. And after all this time, I remain just as captivated as ever, maybe even more so. Because if there's one thing I've learned along the way, it's that French perfume becomes even more beautiful when you begin to understand where it comes from, the history, the craftsmanship, and of course, the artistry behind every bottle. Thanks so much for joining me today on this special anniversary episode of My Perfume Chronicles. I honestly can't believe it's been a year already. When I first started this channel, it was just a passion project. So I want to say a huge thank you to the more than 81,000 viewers and subscribers who have spent the last 12 months with me. Thank you for welcoming me into your feeds and letting me share my love for this liquid art form with you. Here's to many more chapters together. And until next time, take care of yourself.